Hello, my name is Olga Nestrova, and this is Honest Network. In today's quick news, Trump's Middle East gamble, hero, savior, or rather chaos ahead. Precisely 737 days after October 7th, 2023 terror attack on Israel, Hamas has released 20 living hostages from Gaza. Their freedom came as part of a landmark ceasefire agreement that also saw the release of nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners and detainees. The first buses carrying them began arriving in Ramallah today, marking the opening chapter of what could become the new reality for the Middle East. Of course, triumphant Donald Trump arrived in Tel Aviv today. He was greeted by Ivanka Trump, Jared Kushner, Witkoff, and his wife. And later on, he addressed the Israeli parliament, Knesset, and he said, quote, "Israel has won all that can be won by force of arms." This was part of the remarks prepared by the White House. He continues, "Now it is time to translate these victories against terrorists on the battlefield into ultimate price of peace and prosperity for the entire Middle East." His speech was also briefly interrupted by some members of the parliament who were then escorted out. Then, a convoy of Red Cross vehicles escorted the freed hostages through Gaza and into southern Israel, where streets were lined with people waving flags. Doctors examined the men and provided them with care kits and also prepared packages that were awaiting them. Those had laptops, mobile phones, and personal note from Prime Minister Netanyahu reading, "We have been waiting for you." The 20 hostages, all men, aged 21 to 48, included 28-year-old twins kidnapped from kibbutz and the father of twin girls who had been released in an earlier exchange. The remains of 26 others killed in captivity will be returned soon. However, 2 hostages remain unaccounted for, their names absent from Hamas list, including a Nepali student whose fate is still unknown. As to Palestinian prisoners, as part of the deal, Israel agreed to free 250 Palestinian prisoners, most serving life sentences for killing Israelis. Many are expected to be deported. Fuad Kamaji, father of one of such prisoners who was speaking to the Times, he said, quote, "I feel a strong sense of relief and peace." The agreement also mandates the release of 1,700 detainees held since the outbreak of war. As to the human cost of war, 67,000 Palestinians killed, according to Gaza health officials, a figure Israel has not contested. Nearly 2 million people displaced, many living in makeshift tent camps and enduring starvation. In Israel, 1,200 people were killed and 250 abducted during the initial Hamas assault. Around 1,000 Israeli soldiers have died in the fighting since. Well, while Israel erupted in celebration, Gaza remained somber. Roughly 200,000 Palestinians returned this weekend to areas vacated by Israeli forces, only to find literally flattened neighborhoods and scarce food. Quote, "There's nothing to be happy about. My 2 daughters were killed, my home was destroyed, and my health has deteriorated," said Said Abu Aida, who is 44. Now, as to honors and hero worship, Trump is being hailed as a hero. The signs are all over Tel Aviv, all over Gaza, in fact, as well. Also, Prime Minister Netanyahu presented him with the golden dove of peace, symbolizing the hopeful future of the region. Also, President Isaac Herzog announced that Donald Trump will receive Israel's Presidential Medal of Honor, the country's highest award. Quote, "President Trump's legacy will be remembered for generations. He not only helped bring our loved ones home, but also laid the foundation for a new era in the Middle East." Also, Trump and the entire White House crew gathered to listen to the stories of all hostage families. This was very emotional, and one of the hostages said that, "I got my life back thanks to you."
Later on, I was taken captive for 498 days, leaving my wife with just 2 girls. Up to then, she was pregnant in the bomb shelter for the whole period of time. What I thought is that they were all murdered as well. She later on gave birth, and I got my life back. Thanks to you and your staff. I came back here, met my baby girl when she was already 14 months old.
But the real question remains, is the war really over? Trump, when speaking to reporters, said as far as he is concerned, the war is over. But the defense minister of Israel posted the following message on X, quote, Israel's great challenge after the hostages return will be destruction of Hamas terror tunnels by the IDF and through an international mechanism under U.S. supervision. This is key to demilitarizing Gaza and dismantling Hamas. I have instructed the IDF to prepare the mission. So, expected more fighting, more bombing, more flattening Gaza. Now, also other key questions remain. Will Hamas disarm? Well, one of those representatives of Hamas spoke to Sky News yesterday, where they actually declared that, no, in fact, they're not planning to disarm.
If you ask it directly, yes, we are not going to be disarmed as long as we are not sure that this will lead by any other means to have an independent, self-sovereign state which is able to defend itself.
And also the key question is, who will rebuild Gaza? Will Trump move on with agreement by other partners with Trump Gaza? Or will he allow regional partners to play part of it? And most importantly, will he allow Palestinians to own their own home? That's one of the key questions. And also, will Netanyahu remain in power? Because obviously, despite his role, the prime minister is facing legal troubles and public frustration. A speech by Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff yesterday prompted boos at Netanyahu's mention. Take a look.
To Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Oh.
And in fact, today, in one of those off-the-cuff remarks, Trump actually called upon the president of Israel to pardon Netanyahu.
A good man right here. These two men are good men right here. Hey, I have an idea. Mr. President, why don't you give him a pardon? Give him a pardon. Come on.
The comment immediately reignited the debate over Netanyahu's corruption trials and political future. Now, also one of the other questions is also the unresolved issue with the International Criminal Court's genocide case against Israel. With the ceasefire underway and global attention shifting, its outcome remains uncertain, but it could shape Israel's political future, for sure. Now, there is a bit of a Trump mania in Israel. Also, as we know, he did not win the Nobel Peace Prize this year, but Israel has put those huge billboards all across Tel Aviv to make sure Trump, in fact, sees this, where they proclaim that he is their winner. And with Nobel nominations closing in January, Trump's name is already being floated as a potential contender for the next year's award. Also, looking ahead. As the world now turns to Egypt, Trump at this point has departed Tel Aviv on his way to Egypt to meet with other world leaders. And reportedly, about 20 world leaders are expected, including Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas. Major decisions are being awaited. Also, Netanyahu declined to attend, claiming he cannot do so because of Jewish holiday. But Hamas will also obviously not participate. But discussions are expected to focus on Trump's long-term Gaza plan, including the creation of stabilization force in this area. But while the deal bars Hamas from political power, the group has strengthened its internal grip since the ceasefire. But the questions remain again. Will Trump proceed with Trump Gaza? Will he get okay from the partners, not just Europeans, but most importantly, the Middle Eastern partners? And if they agree, my question is, what did he promise them in return? Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio blamed Britain and France for earlier peace breakdowns, accusing them of derailing talks by recognizing a Palestinian state.
If you notice that the talks with Hamas fell apart on the day Macron made the unilateral decision that he's going to recognize a Palestinian state. And then you have other people come forward, other countries say, well, if there's not a ceasefire by September, we're going to recognize a Palestinian state. Well, if I'm Hamas, I basically conclude, let's not do a ceasefire.
Right.
Because we can be rewarded and we can claim it as a victory. So those messages, while largely symbolic in their minds, actually have made it harder to get peace and harder to achieve a deal with Hamas. They feel emboldened.
But in conclusion, the question remains, what is next? Of course, the release of hostages is incredible achievement, and we are applauding everybody involved. But what is next? Is Trump Gaza next? Well, I keep you updated. The next video will be about that meeting in Egypt with 20 world leaders and Trump included. What will be signed there? What will they agree upon? Subscribe to Honest Network to be first to know. I will make sure to keep you updated. And please consider joining Honest Plus, where every Friday we meet for off-the-record briefing, where we dive deep, connect the dots, and most importantly, follow the money. My name is Olga Nestrova. See you in the next video.